So this video, this is not in the show notes, but I had some people send me some links about this, and you know, I don't like reading titles like this. I hate stuff like this. Putin says he hopes there will be no need to use nuclear weapons in Ukraine. Hey, we had a good run. Russian President Vladimir Putin has said that the need to use nuclear weapons in Ukraine has not arisen and that he hopes it will not. In comments aired Sunday in a film by Russia state television about his quarter of a century in power, Putin said Russia has the strength and means to bring the conflict in Ukraine to a logical conclusion. Responding to a question about Ukraine strikes on Russian territory, Putin said there had been no need to use those nuclear weapons, and I hope they will not be required. To which right now there is a response here. Zelensky testing patients, U.S. patients. So Ukrainian leader Vladimir Zelensky is testing America's tolerance for abuse of power by sanctioning his critics, jailed Ukrainian MP Alexander Dubsky has said. Last week, Zelensky announced measures targeting his former top advisor and a few other people who are part of his administration who published a biography on the Ukrainian leader titled The Joker. Oh, very nice title name. The several other journalists and political analysts as well. Penalties include asset freezes, restrictions on trade and financial transactions, travel bans, and revocation of state awards. By imposing sanctions against media people and political scientists, Zelensky is also testing the U.S. tolerance for his dictatorship. Durbsky, who was detained by Kiev authorities in November 2023 on charges including high treason, wrote in a post on Telegram on Sunday. The fact that the restrictions were announced a day after signing of the mineral deals between the U.S. and Ukraine was no coincidence, he suggested. So I got a couple of videos to pull up about that. But JB, billions of dollars wasted in Ukraine. And now there's a mineral deal, but yet the war is still going. There's no cessation of or stop of any type of firing of any kind of weapons whatsoever.
My question is, who benefits?
Mm-hmm.
You want to know who in that mineral deal?
Well, I could tell you who benefits. Now, I have to keep this muted because of copyright music being played. It's first of all, shout out to Kendrick Lamar because his music's being played. But this is a Ukrainian OnlyFans model who got a $200,000 watch. I'm not gonna hate her game. It's just more of a $200,000 watch from a Ukrainian politician. She doesn't love you. She only loves you for your money. She doesn't love you. She's only for your money. Now she's having now this is not the politician. This is a podcaster. So you were presented. Sorry about that. I have to keep it muted. You were presented with a Richard Melly watch. Ooh, cost $200,000. Yes. Who was it? A fan, a very self-sufficient and wealthy one. Not my boyfriend. He's a politician. Ukrainian politician? Yes. Is he a deputy? Yes. So, friends, see, that's corruption of money of Ukrainian politics. That's what they spent it on. She repents for her sins. I wonder if that was done through any U.S. taxpayer money. $200,000 for a watch. Yet, you know what I find funny is that when the war started, all those articles from the Associated Press, The Guardian, and MSNBC and CNN, all those articles talking about corruption in Ukraine, abuse of power in Ukraine, lack of transparency in Ukraine, all those articles disappeared like overnight. And I remember when CBS did a documentary in 2022 talking about the weapons being shipped there and how some weapons weren't being accounted for. Oh, no, that documentary was taken down. JB, your thoughts, my friend?
It's obvious that, somebody who's in the upper echelons of Ukrainian government, is trying to get something out of that young lady. But it's no different than the United States and what they're doing with Zelensky, because, what is Zelensky materially getting out of it personally,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's my question. Like, is she and Zelensky that much different? Right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, the only difference is that she's just an entertainer versus Zelensky is doing the bidding of, the Western powers. So he's definitely getting something out of it. It's more than just nose candy. it's
The booger sugar.
It may be, some riches and all that good stuff that, make Robin Leach jealous. Those of you who are old enough, that was from Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous show back in the 80s.
Oh, yes. Come on. Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous. And then we find out that
you're watching Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous. Yeah. So, but honestly, is just the fact is that corruption is what makes the Western powers go round. Mm-hmm. And so that $200,000 that was given to her as in a form of a watch, how many Ukrainians could have used that money in order to rebuild their homes, or at least get some food, mm-hmm. Clothing, but instead this guy is using $200,000 to pay a model? Did she really need the $200,000 watch? I beg not. I say no. I say just spend $30, get her a Timex, and call it a day. Even time.
You know what? No. Just get her a $30 watch. Make it look like it's expensive, and there you go. 200,000. Yeah, bedazzle it just a little bit. Just give it a little shine. Give it a little shine here and there. Because look, here's the thing. While that deputy politician, whoever it is, allegedly, okay, if it truly is a Ukrainian politician, but I'm going to take the OnlyFans model word for it, because you know what? I mean, why should she be ashamed of her game, right? Why should she be ashamed of her game? But look, what about the regular people who are being dragged off the street? Hold on, just muting because copyright music. But here you have a guy being confronted, and this is something that's all too familiar. Where's he going to go? What's going on here? He's being dragged, pulled in against his will. And yet this is what's happening here? Like, seriously. I mean, we don't know this guy's story. We don't know anything about him. We know that he's in the fight for his life. And where's he going in the van? To the front lines? I mean, all of this is beyond depraved. This is sick. This is sad. And this is an innocent person. Now, while that deputy gets to enjoy lavishing an OnlyFans model with 200K watches, what about the men who are now stuck in fighting this pointless, ridiculous war? That's his bike. Oh, look, the guy's walking off with his bike. War is a racket. War is a scam. People are dying for no reason. Where's the accountability at? And, you could definitely thank the Biden-Harris administration for opening this door and saying this is just fine. This is A-okay. It's all right. No need to worry about it. Stop complaining and just move on. JB.
Yeah, it's quite bad there. To be an able-bodied man in Ukraine is scary now.
Yeah.
This is just as bad, if not almost worse, than the draft that we had here. Because if you resisted, they would ship you off to prison, right? There, they're kidnapping your ass off the streets and saying you're going to fight or else.
Yeah.
And I'm at a point right now. My question is, what's so different between Ukraine, picking people off the street, and the IDF forcing conscription for, Israelis, young Israelis, to go fight, and commit genocide? Because ultimately, like, the young Israelis as well, who refuse to be a part of this 21st century Holocaust, they're also having to either fight or go to prison. It's and it's for what? Is it really for Ukrainian sovereignty, or is it actually to fight for the interests of the West? Because ultimately, I mean, if you actually follow what happened in Ukraine, and it didn't start in 2022, you can go back as far as 2014 and see that the United States actually participated in the coup of Ukraine. And so then there was also 14,000 ethnic-speaking Russian-speaking Ukrainians that were also being murdered in the streets, and they were begging Vladimir Putin to come and intervene. So there's all this different types of stuff that was happening beforehand. And really, it's just the United States wanting, the resources of not just Ukraine, but Russia. That's ultimately, and I mean, who was it? Lindsey Graham gave the game away. He was like, do you guys know how many resources Ukraine has? It's the breadbasket of the world. And we're going to get all these different types of minerals. This is why the mineral deal went through. And now they're just trying to do the same thing with Russia. But ultimately, it's for the benefits of the rich and the wealthy and well-connected here. Right. And so, kidnapping to do that, it's just morally reprehensible.
Right. I agree 100%. And so there you go, folks. Vote blue no matter who. The war still goes on in Ukraine. And Trump, will he get that ceasefire? Press X to doubt.